sing the thunder song.
Wait.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast. Road edition, airport edition. Me and Eric Horn are about 20 feet apart in the Denver airport. You're going to hear the intercom probably too much in this podcast. We apologize for that. But Eric, we're in the middle of our way back from Golden State. What do you think of the game last night?
Well, I think there's positives and to be taken from it from the Thunder standpoint. I mean, they didn't go back to Golden State and lay an egg. And I think that's one of the things that definitely could have happened, considering, I mean, Golden State's got a great crowd, and we've seen them struggle there before, not in Game 1. I mean, they played really well in Game 1. They played really well in Game 2, but they had those pockets in Game 2 where they really let Steph get loose, and they fell apart. But I don't think there was ever a point last night where, like, the Thunder fell apart. What do you think?
No, and there was moments you thought they would, you know.
Right.
I wrote about it. I mean, I thought they lost it at the start of the fourth. I didn't really like Billy Donovan's lineup to start the fourth. He had Morrow and Kanter on the floor together, and, you know, I like both those guys' offensive skill sets, but in this series especially, although obviously Morrow had 10 points yesterday, shockingly, just on the floor together doesn't really work. But the truth is they're facing an even worse Warriors lineup to start that fourth. It was Livingston, Barbosa, Barnes, Spates, and somebody else. I can't remember. But, I mean, it was 4 bench players and Barnes. It was an 8-0 run. I mean, and Durant's on the floor, and, you know, those things happen in NBA games. Random people go on random 8-0 runs, but I just thought that put the Thunder in the hole when, you know, I think they gave up a Livingston jumper, had a bad Waiters turnover, then it was, you know, Iguodala 3, Barnes 3, and then suddenly it goes from 4 to a 12-point game, and, you know, they never climbed out of the hole. I agree with you. I like how they kept responding. I mean, there's a point late that they almost cut it to 3 on that Durant 3 with 35 seconds left, but I thought it was a winnable game still.
No, absolutely. And I don't want to completely let Donovan off the hook for some of the stuff he did, because I think that the Kanter move early, when he went to Kanter in the second quarter, and Spates went at him, and Kanter got those 2 quick fouls. Kanter just didn't look like he was in his element tonight, so I don't know how much you really could have played him. I mean, they didn't play him that much to begin with, but I think there's a little bit of... Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, where you are with Kanter right now, because, I mean, the tough part, I think, is this is a guy who's plays typically 20 minutes a night all season. He was up to like 30 in the Spurs series. He clearly doesn't fit this Warriors series, and as it's gone along, it's become clear it's probably not wise to play him unless, like, maybe Anderson Barrett's out on the floor. But the problem is, first of all, he's a guy that gets a little frustrated if he doesn't play. I mean, as probably about 7 guys on the team do.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, I think part of the reason he played terribly last night is because he's kind of been marginalized in the series, and, you know, his rhythm's gone. He's a little frustrated. I mean, do you just not play him at all? Or I kind of agree with Donovan trying to find pockets so, you know, he stays engaged, especially if this team goes to the finals, they're going to need him. If they play basically any other team in a series, they need him. So, I don't know, it's tough because I think you need to get him minutes, try to keep him, like I said, still engaged, still happy, and in rhythm, because he looks completely out of rhythm. I mean, we haven't seen him play that bad last night. I mean, I know his defense doesn't fit, but I mean, he just looked out of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can, maybe you can afford to play him when you get ahead of steam and you've got a better lead than you had last night. And Donovan talked, I mean, they didn't have a lead last night until way late, and it didn't last for long. But Donovan talked about last night how Steven Adams getting in foul trouble kind of changed the way that he went about his substitutions, too. And he had to go to Waiters early, and Waiters struggling kind of hurt the Thunder's bench lineup.
Scoreless.
Yeah, 0 for 4. But I was getting back to what I was talking about before we kind of went into the Kanter stuff. Like, I feel like some of this, not to give Kanter and Waiters a complete pass, but I feel like some of it is kind of reverting back to what we're used to seeing from them, but the spotty defense from Kanter the inconsistent play in terms of offense and decision-making from Waiters and finishing. And then some of these Golden State guys, I think, were bound to get their rhythm back, too. I mean, Iguodala had been missing layups. Sean Livingston hadn't been effective at all. Spates was a non-factor. And these guys they've been great role players for them all season. And I think that it finally showed that they do have a really strong, deep bench that have been underplaying in this series. So
yeah, there only two good games were games 2 and game 5.
Right.
Which are their wins.
Yeah, and we really seen a Deion Waiters that we were kind of thinking to ourselves, like, all right, when is this guy going to come back to earth in a sense? Because he's been making such great decisions and doing such a great job of doing all the little things, too. And I think last night he did a good job of rebounding and assists, but he just didn't get any shots to fall. And that's what you worry about with Deion Waiters, is when those shots aren't falling, like, well, where's the offense going to come from the wing? And Morrow filled in a little bit in that regard, and that was a surprise. But, again, Morrow's not the great defender that Deion Waiters is.
Yeah. One thing, I mean, people say it all the time, but, like, you know, role players, especially in the playoffs, play better at home. I think the Thunder have to hope that kind of plays out in this series as it moves to Game 6. Because, you know, Waiters really has been great at home all playoffs. I mean, he really seems to kind of feed on that crowd. He's been decent on the road, especially in the Dallas series. But, yeah, you're right. That was kind of his first clunker of the playoffs. He'd gone 10, of the Warriors series, he'd gone 10, 7, 13, 10 as far as points. 4 assists, 3 assists, 3 assists, 3 assists. So, you know, you got to think he'll play better. You got to think guys like Mo Spates aren't going to drop 14 in game 6. But, you know, a lot of it to me is kind of about the more important players from the Warriors' perspective. I thought Bogut, big factor. That was Kurt's big adjustment, staying big. That worked. I mean, he kind of outplayed Steven Adams, and you know that's been a rarity in these playoffs. And I think I don't know if it's a good sign for the Thunder moving forward, but you just kind of don't expect Andrew Bogut to outplay Steven Adams again.
Yeah, no, he did. And there were times last night when the Thunder didn't do a good job of putting bodies on guys in terms of defensive rebounding. Cantor's not just to blame on that. I mean, I think Adams can take some of that too, because I mean, we kind of joked about it this series in terms of some of the people within our Oklahoman ranks that think that Andrew Bogut is a better player than Steven Adams. But this is the first game where like it looked like Bogut had a clear advantage over Adams, and I don't know how hurt Adams is right now, but those 2 quick fouls put him in trouble to begin with, and that was really a rhythm thing for him as well. He only played like 2:26 in the first quarter, and then he had to come off. So yeah, I think that really disrupted him.
That was a weird first quarter because you had Adams get those 2 quick fouls. You had the Warriors didn't pick up a foul until there was about a minute left in the quarter. I think it evened out. I know Billy Donovan kind of came out post game, and you know, he was kind of subtweeting the refs a little bit with the saying that the biggest factor in the game was the 34 free throws that the Warriors shot. I mean, I think 8 of them were on auto fouls or hacks. So I don't think that was as big a factor as Billy was kind of making it out to be. The first quarter did feel a little strange how quickly Adams got in foul trouble and ticky-tack stuff. But, I mean, I think Bogut kind of just won the game with, you know, his interior defense and his rebounding. You know, I think he got a couple tip-ins. I think he finished with, like, 14 and 15, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was 7 for 9. I mean, that's big time from him.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's a guy who's been basically getting, like, 2 and 3 per game, basically.
Sure.
And he goes 14, 15.
And he was their interior defense was actually pretty good last night. I mean, he and Draymond Green combined for like 6 blocks. And that's another guy that I mean, this series really kind of. I mean, Golden State has put a lot of stake on Draymond Green playing tough defensively and keeping his head, and he really did a good job. He was on the brink of kind of, you know, going out of control at that point last night in the third quarter, where he gave up basically like 6 points to the Thunder in a span of like 46 seconds with the Durant foul from 3, plus the tech, plus he went crazy on the break and didn't finish, and that led to like a surge jumper on the other end. And that was like a 6-point Thunder run just all at the hands of Draymond Green. But I mean, for him to be able to keep himself together and really give them a boost. I mean, him and Bogut on the inside were huge wrestlers.
Yeah, and then Draymond got super weird in post game. He was talking about that guy just gets a little jacked up. He said, "It's not a game to me; it's life or death." And then my favorite part is somebody asked him how he got himself together over the last few days. He said, "Oh, a few of my friends across the league called me, like Nate." This is the three he named: Nate Robinson, Big Baby Davis, and Matt Barnes.
That is
the three guys that called him.
That is an amazing trio. Like
it is.
But it like makes so much sense that Draymond Green would have that trio of Nate, Little Nate, Matt Barnes, and Big Baby. Like, that's like the me against the world all-stars right there.
I tweeted out that after he said it, and a few people, like one guy retweeted it, was like, yeah, oh wow, that's an all-NBA team of advice givers. And then somebody said that I'd rather get advice from a Walmart security guard or something like that. But,
oh, man.
That was funny. And then he also said Kobe called him and talked to him for a while. That to me is probably a little bit better.
Yeah. That has a little bit more credibility with
But you're right. I'm not sure he kept his head because, you know, and I know you see the clips. He's still out there karate kicking.
Yeah, Andre Robinson will karate kick to the neck or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little strange. He's not. I mean, there's no way he gets suspended for 5 because that didn't look intentional. To me, that's like his best argument. He continues to make a better argument that the other one wasn't intentional, but just flailing and kicking everywhere. I mean, this guy's got to stop that. Like, I don't think he should be suspended, but I just think moving forward in his career, like, dude, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah,
like the safety of players.
Yeah, it's almost like the league needs to, or somebody needs to come to him and say, hey, like, we need to cut this crap out, man, because you're just going to kick somebody in the face and it's going to go crazy. Like, it's almost like in soccer when, like, these guys get, like, yellow carded for, like, diving when somebody, like, slide tackles them or something. It's, like, clearly not a foul. It's like, it's almost like Draymond's trying so hard to draw this contact that it's almost like simulation. So I think they got to rein that in somehow. It's probably not going to be this season because he's going on for so long doing it.
Yeah, if it's a habit, it's something. But the weird thing to me is, like, I know, like, somebody came out with clips of him kicking a little bit over the year, or over the years. But to me, it was, like, really exaggerated last night. You know, he got Durant on one.
It was really high.
Yeah. To me, I don't know if some of that was him trying to show, like, the league, like, see, I do it all the time.
Yeah. And I do do it. It was Vegas. It was like Vegas showgirl high. It was like.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was like
double clapped Robertson and Westbrook on one in the face.
Yeah, dude. That was extreme. But I mean, and we didn't even get to Steph yet. And I think that Steph kind of showed people last night that he's healthier than whatever the reports out there said he is, or maybe he got healthier between those reports coming out and last night.
I mean, I don't know. He's out on the court. I'm so over, like, the percentage, and I mean, you asked the question to Kerr, and I kind of liked his answer. Where he's like, now I'm going to say he's 91%. I think he was kind of like poking fun at the whole idea of like putting a percentage on somebody. It's just dumb to me. I don't know. He's out there. Look, me and Barry talked about it on the podcast before the last one. Like, what percent is Steven Adams right now if Steph Curry's 70%?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think that these guys, like Kerr's talking about, and Kerr's never made excuses for Steph, which I'll give him credit for, and I'll give Steph credit for too. These guys aren't making excuses about it. They're just saying that the dude's not 100%. That might mean he's 99.6%, but he's not 100%. And
well, honestly, as you mentioned, like they even to the press, they haven't been making excuses all series. They haven't been the ones saying this. There's a chance it's likely somebody within the Warriors purposely planted that like 70% thing, but that I don't think that was necessarily Kerr or Curry. It's probably like front office guy or something.
Yeah, and it's almost it's almost kind of insulting to Steph, actually, that like somebody would seem like they have to make an excuse for him struggling, and it's also almost insulting to like the Thunder's defense, because I think they've done a great job of defending him all around this series, whether it's Westbrook or whether it's the big switching off. And I mean, Steven Adams has blocked his shot. Kevin Durant, I think, has gotten a piece of his shot. How many times has Steph Curry gotten his shot blocked this entire regular season? We could probably count it on one hand. The dude just doesn't get shot blocked. The Thunder's made great adjustments during this series.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so he scores 12 points in the last 6 minutes. I thought he was great down the stretch. He had a and-one finish, and then he had 2 steals, including the one that'll kind of be remembered with 1:23 to go. He picks Kevin Durant, like, clean.
Yeah,
and then races it up court. I think he actually stops in the front court, milks about 20 seconds of the shot clock. Then, I think he gets a reverse. It seemed to seal it, although that spurt late from the Thunder, which was 3 Durant free throws, a Westbrook and one, the Durant 3 that almost cut it to 3, made it interesting. But it felt like that Steph steal and then layup sealed it. And then in post game, he's asked, or no, not Westbrook and Durant are asked about his underrated defense. Russ laughs, just straight laugh, and then Durant thinks about it for a while. I mean, people listening may have already seen the video, but thinks about it for a while, compliments him a little bit on having quick hands, but then also says he doesn't guard the best point guards, and we like our matchup with Russell on him. What do you think? Was that disrespectful?
Yeah, it's disrespectful as hell. And I think Steph, and there's video out there to show, I mean, we saw it with our own eyes. Steph did a good job one-on-one last night. Durant has had trouble in his career with smaller guys. And those guys are going to be smaller than Durant to begin with because he's 6'11". But when he lets those smaller guys get in close to him when he's dribbling, those guys will give him problems. Iguodala gives him problems all the time. Iguodala's 6'6", 6'7". We saw at a point last night a couple of times where Durant didn't even bother dribbling into Iguodala anymore because Iguodala was so tight on him that he would just get the ball, kind of survey, and then he would pull up and he would become a spot-up jump shooter. And I thought that was a smart strategy from Durant, to just become a spot-up guy instead of trying to drive at these small guys where they can get their hands on the ball and kind of disrupt his dribble. But he didn't do that with Steph, and Steph made him pay for it. Now,
Nick Curry's ticked off today, watching that video.
I think he probably is a little ticked off, and I don't think it was a good idea for them to disrespect him that way. I'm not going to say it's going to come back and bite him. I think they're still going to beat him up pretty well.
Yeah, I just don't see Steph as the kind of guy that, he's just locks in because he's so mad about the comment, and then suddenly he's just this terrorizer defensively that's just out there, locking people up and everything. Look, led the league in steals, quick hands, better than people think defensively. I don't think there's any question about that, but I just don't see the comment, unless it suddenly turns his offensive game and he has one of those 12 3-pointer games. I agree with you that the comment was disrespectful. I just don't think it plays that much of a role in Game 6.
And then that's what I was going to say. Okay, is it going to motivate him to be this, or not even motivate him, but is it going to turn him into this all-world defender all of a sudden? Probably not. But is it going to pee him off enough to where he comes out and he hits eight threes? He gets on one of those hot streaks where he starts crossover dribbling guys. I mean, I think he can motivate his overall game, but it's not gonna make him into Andre Robertson all of a sudden or anything on defense. But it's just interesting and kind of strange from Durant and Westbrook to not just kind of default on that one and say, all right, Steph got us. He played good defense, but those guys are prideful, and they probably. Well, it seemed like when at least to me, when Curry's been brought up to Durant, maybe even before this series or a little bit before this series, before they got into it, Durant hasn't gone out of his way to be glowing about Curry or anything like that. These guys don't really I don't think they bow down at Steph's knees about any means.
Well, they don't, and you got to remember, this is the Kendrick Perkins school of thought. Never compliment your opponent.
Right.
Always I mean, he really drilled that into Russ's head. Not that Russ really needed it. I'm sure Russ was like, yes, that is exactly how I want to think Kendrick. But Kevin's off and on with that. I mean, the funny story about Perk was, when he came to the team and Zach Randolph went off in Game 1 of the first playoff series that Katie never played with Perk. Randolph goes off and Katie goes to the press conference and, it was still like Bible and his backpack Durant. And he said, oh, that's the best power forward in the game. Zach Randolph, that's the best power forward in the game. And Perk came to practice the next day livid with him. Like I'm trying to guard this guy for a full series. Don't be saying that stuff, because that became the headline, Yeah. It became Zach Randolph goes off, Durant calls him best power forward in the game. So I think they've learned from them to not compliment guys as much, although Kevin still does it sometimes. But last night was different than a compliment. One thing I think Westbrook has taken the Curry love a little personal all year, and the Curry love is very warranted, no doubt about it. But I mean, Russ doesn't think about what's warranted or what's not. It's just like that it's on his point guard watch. This guy is getting so much more love. I mean, you see tweets from his brother Ray Westbrook sometimes about, that like, number zero giving it to Russ. Like, I just think privately, I think Russ has conversations about how, he's better than Steph or whatever. And I don't think he meant to get a vine of him laughing at Curry off yesterday's press conference. I just think somebody asked him about Curry, or he didn't. The reporter asked Durant about it. But Russ was obviously in the press conference, and he just he starts laughing. I think it was kind of first reaction. I don't know if he regrets it today or not, but that to me kind of just seemed like a natural reaction. And then I think off that kind of maybe throttled Durant a little bit to the side of him, where he was like, well, I can't really compliment him now that Russ is over here laughing.
Yeah.
So Katie kind of tried to compliment, but also was like, okay, but we like our matchup. And he's not even guarding Russ half the time.
Yeah.
It was a funny moment.
It's like, and we've seen the way that Durant kind of handles certain things when he's away or next to Russell at times this year. So it's I kind of see where you're going with that. I wasn't in the room. I was off in the locker room talking to Morrow and Kaner at the time, so I didn't really get the full scope of what these guys were talking about. But yeah, I didn't like it. But I mean, hey, it's on them now. If Stephanie comes out and drops 50 on them and locks them up, then they're going to have to be the ones that answer for it. And their laughing memes are going to be all over the internet for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. This 6 is going to be interesting. That crowd. What do you think of the Oracle crowd like?
Well,
was it the best of the series?
Yeah, it turned into it at the beginning.
I mean of the Oracle.
Yeah, and boy, and maybe we don't realize it as much being at Chesapeake Energy Arena, but it seems like when Oracle gets tight, it's tight because that crowd gets really quiet and they get really tight, but their heights are really high when they get on those runs. When Clay's making those transition threes, it gets really loud, and they have a good. I mean, the crowd shows up a little late because of the start times, and the traffic out there is absolutely ridiculous. But I think it's kind of a notch below the peak. I thought, and maybe
I think it's clearly been a notch below the peak in this series. One thing about the start times are a disadvantage for Oracle. And then the other disadvantage to me, and I mean, this is the Thunder's doing, but the Thunder's gone on just 2 massive runs. In both games. I mean, they're blowouts. Like, the crowd's never worried. It's like party from the start to the finish. Draymond Green kind of with the groin kick of Adams kind of set the crowd.
Yeah.
Just this frenzy.
That's a good point too, because there's never been like any moment to really get the Oracle crowd just off the hinges. Like, nobody's gotten kicked in the face for Golden State or kicked in the groin, or no Thunder players gone off and got a like some ridiculous technical foul. Billy Donovan got one last night. I don't know what happened, but he got one. But
yeah, but the moment, like, to me, like, the peak crowd was great for the first quarter and a half of Game 3. But when Draymond unleashed the kick and they showed that on the screen, it became like rabid in there, and it was rabid for the rest of that game. And honestly, that continued over into 4 because they're booing him as loud as possible at the start. I mean, the fact that the NBA didn't suspend him, like, that to me really changed potentially the series.
That shifted it, and it's just like the manner in which the Thunder has gone about its runs compared to Golden State's. I think it's like bred the peak crowd to be the way it is compared to Oracle. Like, even when Golden State, I guess the peak or the loudest that Golden State has been has probably been when Steph went on his run in Game 2. But there haven't been that many kind of runs for Golden State at home because the Thunder has played them pretty well, like, on the road. Like, they played them, aside for those couple of minutes in Game 2, they played them like, I mean, they've gone toe-to-toe with them, whereas in Chesapeake, like, it's like this ball just got rolling, and it was offensively, and then defensively they get a steal, and then the crowd would even, like, sit down for a minute because they just kept, like, it would just keep rolling. Like, they would pick a guy at half court, or Draymond would get the ball stolen from him from behind, and then the crowd just didn't have a chance to breathe. Like, it just kept screaming the whole time.
It was just a party from start to finish, both those games. But Andrew Bogut, I'm looking at his stats right now. First 4 games combined, 12 points, like 16 or so rebounds combined in 4 games, 15 and 14 last night. I mean, do you think the Warriors, look, you think they're just going to stay big all at Game 6, just kind of like they did yesterday? I mean, it's just weird how this series has shifted to the point where, like, it feels like the Warriors want to stay big, where the Thunder are fine going small.
Well, the Thunder's small lineup didn't play the way it did in Games 3 and 4. It was playing out of its head in 3 and 4. So if the Warriors do elect to go back to their small lineup, I don't think they're going to struggle as much as they did. And, well, then again, they are going to be on the road, so we don't know yet. But I can't imagine them struggling as much as they did in 3 and 4 with their small lineup. So I don't think it's exactly a given that they go back to that big one. Because I think that they can count more on Iguodala, Draymond at the 5, than you can Bogut reproducing what he just did in a road game, in a closeout road game. So I'm not writing off their small lineup just yet.
Yeah, one thing about last night, I'm just looking at the box score. Ennis Kanter played 6 minutes. He had an even plus-minus. The Thunder was not outscored while he was on the court. So
they were when Deion Waiters was.
By 18 and 27 minutes. Yeah.
That's what happens when you go 0 for 4.
Yeah, it's funny. He went 0 for 4, and they need a lot more scoring punch from him, but I didn't think he was, like, awful. I thought he played pretty solid defense like he's been doing all playoffs, and he had 4 assists. He had a couple of nice passes, nice little setups, and only 1 turnover. The turnover was bad. I remember it was at the start of the 4th. But.
And that's why, plus minus is deceiving in a sense because, you look at the plus minus and be like, oh, Deion Waiters had a terrible game. But Ennis Kanter really had a worse game than him. Ennis Kanter got played off the floor, essentially, because...
Yeah, but, to me, it was so minor. I know, like, he didn't play well, but it was only 6 minutes out of a 42, or, whatever...
But those
42 minutes,
man.
48 minutes.
The start of the 4th quarter, that was a big sequence, man. The 8-0 run in the 4th quarter. So he was out there.
So he must have been +5 going into that because the Warriors went on a quick 5-0 run and then he got taken out.
Yeah.
And then they hit another 3. The the funny thing is, you say he was a big part of it, but I mean, the plays are Livingston pulling up to start the quarter and hitting like a 15-footer. I mean, it was over Canada. It wasn't necessarily off the defense. I mean, Livingston can miss that 16-footer easily. But then Iggy hits the three because Tanner was running out on Barnes. He wanted to close out Barnes for three. Barnes huffed him, got him out of the play, and kicked it to Iggy, who was wide open. Now, granted, that's like a 2-on-1 essentially, but Tanner couldn't slow himself down, and he just ran himself out of the play because Barnes kicked him into like a 6-run. I mean, I think it was clear that, like, he needed to be off the floor last night, but I'm just saying, his minutes to me weren't the reason they lost.
Okay.
That's just all I had to say about it.
That's not the reason they lost. It's part of the story. It's part of the loss. It's definitely a chunk of it. A critical fourth-quarter chunk.
Kevin Durant, 40 points, but he's 12 of 31 shooting. Russell Westbrook, 31 points, but he's 11 of 28 shooting. And then after the game, somebody asked Kevin, did you take too many shots? Do you need to get your teammates involved? And he scoffed at the question and said, if we would have made some more shots, you wouldn't be saying nothing. Which he's right about. I mean,
he's right.
If he's more efficient and hits 3 more shots, suddenly he's got 46 points and they win the game. Like, everyone's talking about how great he was. But what did you think of the shot distribution last night? What did they shoot a combined 59 of the Thunder's 91 shots?
Yeah, and I don't think it was necessarily bad. I thought that they got Robertson involved early last night. Robertson was the leading scorer for a good little bit when they were struggling.
They just kept hitting threes, man.
But Serge Ibaka was 5 of 10, but he missed some open shots. They got him
2 big threes in the fourth.
Yeah,
big.
But it's like those guys start 4-18. In that first quarter, they weren't getting to the line when they probably could have had some opportunities to get to the line that they'll probably get at home. I mean, the way that they were driving and trying to draw contact, those were opportunities they might get at home to get their offense going. They started 4 of 18. So I don't necessarily have a problem with some of their shots last night. I thought Durant, I think I talked about this a little earlier, I thought Durant started thinking about the way that he was going to attack Iguodala, stopped driving on him so much and just started pulling up and then hitting that spot-up jumper, which I think is smart. But yeah, I don't really – he just shoot over the top of guys.
I didn't like their first quarter. I know that the refs weren't calling any fouls, and there was some contact inside, but like Kevin Durant shot it over the backcourt at one point. Russell Westbrook shot it over the backcourt at one point. I think they went a combined like 2 of 14 or something in the first quarter. I think after the first quarter, they were hitting shots. I mean, Russell had some bad turnovers, I thought, in transition, but he also, he's hitting his threes right now. Durant was good for long stretches, but I don't know. I mean, I think on the road, they were just really trying to bring this thing home. And, sometimes the over-aggression is great. Sometimes it's not great for those two. I think they'll be fine in Game 6. I think they're going to get better contributions from their role players.
Yeah. And you're not going to expect Tanner to come out and throw up a 1 and a 2. He's going to get it.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how much he's going to play in Game 6. I mean, I think he's probably going to play about 6 or so minutes. I mean, yeah, this isn't a series for him.
Well, if he doesn't play as much, you can't expect Anthony Morrow to play as much or to score as much in the time that he has. So does this fall back on Dion Waiters again?
Yeah, well, look, I think it definitely does. And, if we were saying that in February, I'd be very concerned about it. But we're not. We're saying that this is a guy who's pretty steadily been good during these playoffs. So I expect him to play better at home. Robertson, he's playing well. I think they need more out of Adams. I think he needs to stay out of foul trouble and really give them a very good game. And, that right there is big guys. They're starters and waiters on the bench. Tanner, I think, stretches Randy Foy and Morrow maybe a little bit. But, well, I mean, we'll see. But, this intercom is going crazy right now.
Yeah, my plan to duck off in that room didn't work out. That guy shut me down because it's an airport. I got to do stuff like that. But yeah, that lady's yelling. So,
yeah, she's got a loud voice. We apologize again for all the intercom stuff. Eric, we are in Denver. We should probably go try to catch our flight back to OKC. I know it's a shorter podcast than usual, a louder podcast as far as outside voices are concerned. We apologize again. But we will talk to you again after Game 6. All right, we might be talking about an NBA Finals. We might be talking about a dangerous Game 7 back in Golden State. See you.
Sure.
Durant, pull-up jumper, up the rim, and and the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. All right. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.